Moving into a new neighborhood is supposed to be exciting, right? That's what Jennifer thought when she pulled up to her new house in Pine Valley Estates with her 10-year-old daughter Lily and their golden retriever Cooper. The house was perfect. White picket fence, a small garden in the front, and enough space for Lily to run around in the backyard. Jennifer had saved for years to afford this place, and finally, they had a real home to call their own. The first week went smoothly. Neighbors waved from their driveways, and a few even brought over cookies and casseroles to welcome them. Jennifer felt like she'd made the right choice. This was going to be a fresh start for her and Lily after the divorce. No more apartment living, no more hearing neighbors through thin walls, just peace and quiet in their own little corner of the world. Then she met Patricia. It was a sunny Saturday morning, and Jennifer was outside watering her new flowers when a woman marched up her driveway carrying a clipboard. She was dressed like she was heading to a business meeting, even though it was the weekend. Her hair was pulled back so tight it looked painful, and she had this expression on her face that made Jennifer immediately uncomfortable. "Good morning," the woman said, though her tone didn't sound very good at all. "I'm Patricia Hendricks, president of the Pine Valley Estates Homeowners Association. Welcome to the neighborhood." Jennifer smiled and extended her hand. "Thanks, I'm Jennifer. It's nice to meet you." Patricia glanced at Jennifer's hand but didn't shake it. Instead, she looked down at her clipboard and made a check mark. "I'm here to inform you of a few violations I've noticed since you moved in." Jennifer's smile faded. "Violations? I just moved in a week ago." "Yes, well, rules are rules." Patricia flipped through some papers on her clipboard. "Your welcome mat is burgundy. According to Section 4.2 of the HOA Guidelines, all outdoor mats must be black, brown, or tan. Neutral colors only." Jennifer looked down at her welcome mat. It was a gift from her mother, a cheerful burgundy mat with the word welcome in white letters. "You're serious? It's just a doormat." "The rules apply to everyone, Ms. Carter. Also, I noticed your garbage cans were still visible from the street at 8:15 a.m. last Tuesday. Collection day is Monday, and all cans must be stored out of sight by 7 a.m. Tuesday morning." Jennifer felt her jaw tighten. "The truck came late. I was at work. I moved them as soon as I got home." Patricia made another note on her clipboard. "Regardless of circumstances, the rule is clear. I'm giving you a written warning this time, but future violations will result in fines." Before Jennifer could respond, Patricia handed her a stack of papers. "Here's your copy of the HOA guidelines. I suggest you read through them carefully. We pride ourselves on maintaining property values in Pine Valley Estates, and that requires everyone's cooperation. With that," Patricia turned and walked back down the driveway, her heels clicking against the concrete. Jennifer stood there holding the papers, feeling like she'd just been scolded by a school principal. Cooper came bounding over and nudged her leg, and she reached down to scratch behind his ears. "What did we get ourselves into, boy?" she muttered. That was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Patricia seemed to be everywhere. Jennifer would look out her window and see Patricia walking past her house, staring at her yard, sometimes taking photos with her phone. It was creepy. One afternoon, Lily was drawing with chalk on their driveway. She'd made a colorful hopscotch game and was jumping through the squares, laughing and having fun. Jennifer was inside making lunch when she heard Lily's voice rise in confusion. "Mom, that lady is yelling at me." Jennifer rushed outside to find Patricia standing over Lily, pointing at the chalk drawings. "Excuse me, what's going on?" Jennifer asked, stepping between Patricia and her daughter. "Your child is defacing the driveway with unauthorized decorations," Patricia said. "HOA guidelines clearly state that driveways must be kept clean and free of markings." Jennifer couldn't believe what she was hearing. "It's chalk. It washes away with water. That's not the point. Rules exist for a reason." "She's a kid playing in her own driveway," Jennifer said, her voice rising. "This is ridiculous." Patricia's expression hardened. "I'll be noting this in my report. If you don't comply with the rules, there will be consequences." Lily looked scared, and that made Jennifer furious. She put her arm around her daughter and said firmly, "You need to leave now." Patricia walked away, but not before taking several photos of the chalk drawings with her phone. That night, Jennifer sat at her kitchen table reading through the entire HOA guidebook. It was 63 pages of the most absurd rules she'd ever seen. No garden gnomes or decorative statues, no wind chimes. No outdoor furniture in unapproved colors. No parking on the street overnight. No holiday decorations before specific dates. The list went on and on. Jennifer realized that Patricia was using these rules as weapons. She wasn't trying to maintain property values. She was trying to control everyone. The next violation notice came in her mailbox a few days later. Apparently, Cooper's doghouse in the backyard was visible from a certain angle if you stood in just the right spot, and it wasn't an approved structure. Jennifer crumpled the notice and threw it in the trash. Then Patricia started showing up at random times, claiming she needed to inspect various things. One evening, she demanded to walk through Jennifer's backyard to measure the height of her fence, insisting it might be 2 inches too tall. Jennifer had had enough. "No, you're not coming into my backyard." Patricia's eyes widened. "I have the authority as HOA president to conduct inspections. Then you can look at it from your side of the fence. I'll take photos and measurements myself and send them to you, but you're not coming on my property whenever you feel like it." Patricia's face turned red. She leaned in close and said in a low voice, "You're making a big mistake. Homeowners who don't cooperate with the HOA face serious consequences. I have the power to make your life very difficult here." Jennifer felt a chill run down her spine, but she stood her ground. "Are we done here?" Patricia smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Oh, we're far from done, Ms. Carter, far from done." As Patricia walked away, Jennifer noticed several neighbors watching from their windows. She wondered how many of them had been through this same thing. How many had given in just to make Patricia leave them alone? That night, Jennifer barely slept. She kept thinking about the look on Patricia's face, the barely concealed threat in her words. She dealt with difficult people before, but something about Patricia felt different. Obsessive, unhinged. The next morning, she made a decision. She called a security company and scheduled an installation for the following week. Cameras for the front door, back door, and one facing the driveway. An alarm system with sensors on all the windows and doors. It felt extreme, but Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that things were going to get worse before they got better. When she told Lily about the new security system, she tried to make it sound routine. "It's just an extra safety measure, honey. Lots of people have them." But Lily was smart. "Is it because of that mean lady?" Jennifer hesitated, then decided to be honest. "Partly yes, but it's also just good to have, period. I'm going to teach you how to use the alarm, okay? If you ever feel unsafe when I'm not home, there's a panic button that calls the police right away." Lily nodded seriously. "Okay, Mom." 2 days later, Jennifer received a certified letter from the HOA. Inside was a notice of a $500 fine for unauthorized window treatments. According to Patricia, the curtains in Jennifer's bedroom were not an approved color under the HOA guidelines. Jennifer stared at the letter in disbelief. Her bedroom curtains. The curtains that hung inside her house in her private bedroom. Patricia had actually found a rule about curtain colors and was using it against her. That's when Jennifer knew for certain. This wasn't about rules or property values. This was personal. Patricia had decided Jennifer was an enemy, and she was going to use every tool at her disposal to make her life miserable. Jennifer took photos of the letter and started documenting everything. Every interaction, every violation notice, every time she spotted Patricia lurking near her house. She didn't know what she'd need the evidence for, but her gut told her to keep records of everything. The security system was installed 3 days later. Jennifer showed Lily how everything worked, making sure she understood the panic button especially. It was bright red and mounted near the front door at Lily's height. "If you ever think someone's in the house who shouldn't be, you press this, okay? Don't hesitate. Just press it." Jennifer never imagined how soon they'd actually need it. The fine for the bedroom curtains was just the beginning. Over the next 2 weeks, Patricia ramped up her campaign. Jennifer received 3 more violation notices in her mailbox. One claimed that the shade of white paint on her front door didn't match the approved color palette. Another said her mailbox post was slightly crooked and needed to be straightened within 48 hours. The third accused her of allowing Cooper to bark excessively, even though Cooper barely barked at all unless someone came to the door. Jennifer contested every single fine. She sent emails to the HOA board with photos proving her compliance. She measured her mailbox post with a level and sent them pictures showing it was perfectly straight. She even submitted a written statement from her neighbors confirming that Cooper was quiet and well-behaved. But every response came back from Patricia herself, denying the appeals and doubling down on the violations. "Mom, why does she hate us so much?" Lily asked one evening as Jennifer typed yet another email to the HOA board. Jennifer closed her laptop and pulled Lily close. Some people feel powerful when they can control others. It's not about us, honey. It's about her needing to feel important. But even as she said it, Jennifer wondered if there was more to it. The level of attention Patricia was giving them felt excessive, even for a power-hungry HOA president. It was like Patricia had made Jennifer her personal project. One afternoon, Lily came running into the house, breathing hard. "Mom, I saw her again." "Saw who?" "The mean lady. She was taking pictures of our house. I saw her from the school bus when we turned onto our street." Jennifer felt her stomach tighten. "Are you sure?" Lily nodded. She was standing across the street with her phone pointed at our house. When she saw the bus, she put her phone away and walked off really fast. That night, Jennifer checked the footage from her new security cameras. Sure enough, at 3:45 p.m., right before the school bus arrived, there was Patricia standing across the street, photographing Jennifer's house from multiple angles. She spent nearly 10 minutes walking back and forth, zooming in on different parts of the property. Jennifer felt sick watching it. This had crossed a line from annoying to genuinely disturbing. She saved the footage to her computer and added it to her growing file of evidence. The next day, she called a lawyer friend for advice. He listened to her story and whistled low. "Document everything," he told her. "What she's doing borders on harassment. If it escalates, you'll want records of all of it." "It already feels pretty escalated," Jennifer said. "Trust me, it can get worse. Some HOA presidents think they're running a dictatorship. Just stay vigilant." That advice proved prophetic. The following Tuesday, Jennifer came home from work to find a notice taped to her front door. This one was different from the others. It demanded immediate access to her backyard for an official HOA inspection. According to the notice, Patricia needed to verify compliance with fence height regulations, and Jennifer had 24 hours to provide access or face a $1,000 fine. Jennifer read the notice 3 times, her anger building with each pass. She pulled out her phone and called the HOA office directly. A tired-sounding woman named Betty answered. "Pine Valley HOA, this is Betty. Hi, I'm calling about an inspection notice I received. It says the HOA president needs access to my backyard tomorrow." Betty was quiet for a moment. "Let me look that up. What's your address?" Jennifer gave her the information and waited while Betty typed. "I don't see any scheduled inspections for your property," Betty said finally. "And between you and me, the HOA president doesn't actually have the right to demand entry onto private property without consent. She can request access, but you can refuse." "Really?" "Really. If there's a legitimate compliance issue, the board can vote to require an inspection. But it has to go through proper channels. One person can't just demand entry." Jennifer thanked Betty and hung up, feeling both relieved and more concerned. Patricia was making up rules now. Hoping Jennifer wouldn't know better, she took a photo of the notice and sent it to the HOA board's general email address with a message stating that she would be happy to provide photos and measurements but would not be granting access to her property for an in-person inspection. Patricia's response came within an hour. It was brief and threatening. "Your refusal to cooperate has been noted. Expect consequences." Jennifer showed the email to Lily that night, wanting her to understand why she needed to be extra careful. "If you see Patricia anywhere near our house, I want you to tell me right away, okay? Don't talk to her. Just come inside and let me know." Lily's eyes were wide. "Is she dangerous?" Jennifer chose her words carefully. "I don't think she would hurt anyone. But she's not respecting our boundaries, and that's not okay. The alarm system is there to keep us safe. Remember what I taught you about the panic button?" Lily nodded. "Press it if someone's in the house who shouldn't be." "Exactly. And don't be scared to use it if you need to. Better safe than sorry." The weekend passed without incident, which somehow made Jennifer more nervous. It felt like the calm before a storm. She found herself checking the security camera footage constantly, looking for any sign of Patricia lurking around. On Saturday morning, she decided to get groceries early. Lily wanted to stay home and watch her favorite show, and Cooper would be there with her. Jennifer hesitated, not liking the idea of leaving Lily alone after everything that had happened. "Mom, I'm 10 years old. I'll be fine for an hour," Lily said, reading her mother's expression. "I know, honey. I'll keep all the doors locked. I have my phone. And Cooper's here. Nothing's going to happen. Jennifer checked her watch. It was 9:30 a.m. on a Saturday. The grocery store would be busy and she'd be gone an hour at most. Everything would be fine, okay, but keep your phone with you. And remember, I know, Mom. Alarm button if anything weird happens. Jennifer gave Lily a hug and headed out. The whole drive to the store, she kept thinking she should turn around and go back. It was probably nothing, just nerves from dealing with Patricia's constant harassment, but the feeling wouldn't go away. She rushed through her shopping, grabbing items quickly and not bothering with her usual careful comparison of prices. She just wanted to get home. Meanwhile, back at the house, Lily settled onto the couch with Cooper sprawled across her feet. Her favorite cartoon was on, and she was completely absorbed in it. Cooper's head suddenly popped up, his ears alert. He made a low sound in his throat, not quite a growl, but something uncertain. "What's wrong, boy?" Lily asked, reaching down to pet him. That's when she heard it. A scraping sound from upstairs, like something being dragged across wood. Lily muted the TV and listened. The house was silent. Maybe she'd imagined it. Old houses made weird noises, right? Her mom had told her that. Then she heard it again. Definitely from upstairs. Definitely in her mom's room. Cooper stood up, his whole body tense. He started barking, loud and aggressive in a way Lily had never heard before. He ran toward the stairs, barking continuously. Lily's heart started pounding. Someone was upstairs. Someone was in their house. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands, but before she could dial, she heard footsteps. Clear, unmistakable footsteps walking across her mother's bedroom floor. That's when Lily remembered the panic button. Her mom had made her practice using it twice. She'd made Lily promise not to hesitate if she ever felt unsafe. Lily ran to the front door, Cooper barking frantically beside her. Her hand reached for the bright red button. She pressed it. Immediately, the loudest sound she'd ever heard filled the house. The alarm blared, a piercing shriek that seemed to come from everywhere at once. An automated voice boomed through speakers she hadn't even known were there. "Intrusion detected. Police have been notified. Intrusion detected." From upstairs, Lily heard a crash like something had been dropped. Then more footsteps, fast and panicked. Cooper was going crazy now, barking and jumping at the base of the stairs. Lily didn't wait to see what would happen next. She yanked open the front door and ran outside onto the lawn, Cooper racing after her. She fumbled with her phone and called her mom. "Lily? What's wrong?" "I can hear the alarm. Mom, someone's in the house." Lily's voice was high and scared. "I heard them upstairs and Cooper started barking and I pressed the button like you said. I'm coming right now. Stay outside. Don't go back in. I'm 2 minutes away." Lily stood on the front lawn, Cooper pressed against her legs, staring at the house. The alarm was still blaring. Neighbors were starting to come out of their houses, looking around to see where the noise was coming from. Then Lily saw movement at the side of the house. Someone was climbing out of her mom's bedroom window onto the small roof over the garage, and Lily recognized her immediately. It was Patricia. She was climbing out of the window, looking panicked, clutching some kind of folder against her chest. Her hair was messy, her jacket was torn, and she looked absolutely terrified as she scrambled onto the roof. "That's her," Lily shouted, pointing. "That's the mean HOA lady." Several neighbors heard and looked up. They saw Patricia trying to climb down from the roof, using the decorative lattice on the side of the garage as a ladder. She was moving fast but clumsily, nearly falling twice. Just as Patricia's feet hit the ground, Jennifer's car came screeching around the corner and into the driveway. Jennifer barely had the car in park before she was jumping out. Jennifer kept Lily close as the sirens grew louder, her arm wrapped protectively around her daughter's shoulders. Cooper was still on alert, positioned between them and Patricia, who stood frozen in the side yard. The folder she'd been clutching had fallen to the ground during her climb down, and papers were scattered across the grass. 2 police cars pulled up within seconds of each other, their lights flashing. 4 officers emerged, hands on their belts, assessing the scene quickly. The lead officer, a tall man with graying hair and a nameplate that read Morrison, walked straight to Jennifer. "Ma'am, we got a panic alarm call from this address." "Are you the homeowner?" "Yes, I'm Jennifer Carter. This is my daughter Lily. She's the one who triggered the alarm." Jennifer gestured toward Patricia. "That woman broke into my house through an upstairs window. My daughter was home alone and heard her inside." Officer Morrison turned to look at Patricia, his eyes narrowing. His younger partner, Officer Davis, was already walking toward her. Morrison addressed the crowd that had gathered. "Can everyone please step back and give us room to work?" The neighbors reluctantly moved back, though nobody left. They stood in clusters on their lawns, phones out, some clearly recording the whole thing. Patricia had regained some of her composure and stepped forward. "Officer Morrison, there's been a misunderstanding. I'm Patricia Hendricks, president of the Pine Valley Estates HOA. I was conducting a routine inspection. Through a second-story window?" Morrison interrupted, his tone skeptical. "The window was open. I noticed it from the street and became concerned about security. As HOA president, I have a responsibility to ensure all homes in this community are secure. I was simply checking to make sure everything was all right." Lily's voice rang out clear and angry. "That's a lie. The window was closed. I would have noticed if my mom's window was open." Morrison looked at Lily, his expression softening. "You were inside when this happened?" "Yes, sir. I was watching TV downstairs. Cooper started acting weird, and then I heard scratching sounds from upstairs. Then footsteps in my mom's room. That's when I pressed the panic button like Mom taught me." "You did exactly the right thing," Morrison said gently. Then he turned back to Patricia. "Ms. Hendricks, do you have any documentation authorizing you to enter private property for an inspection?" Patricia lifted her chin. "The HOA bylaws give me the authority to conduct inspections when necessary. That's not what I asked. Do you have written authorization from Ms. Carter to enter her home today?" Patricia's jaw tightened. "I don't need her specific authorization. The bylaws—" "Actually, you do," Morrison cut in. His voice had taken on an edge. "You know, Ms. Hendricks, this isn't the first complaint we've received about you. Breaking into someone's home is a serious crime, regardless of what title you hold in the neighborhood association." Patricia's face flushed red. "I did not break in. The window was open." Jennifer had been watching the papers scattered on the ground near where Patricia had dropped the folder. She walked over and picked up a few of them, her anger building with each one she looked at. "Officer Morrison, you need to see these." She handed him the papers. They were photographs printed in color on regular printer paper, photos of the inside of Jennifer's bedroom. Her curtains pulled back to show the color clearly, the paint on her walls, the decorative pillows on her bed, even a close-up of a small crack in the ceiling. Morrison's expression darkened as he flipped through them. "Ms. Hendricks, when were these photos taken? Those were from a previous inspection," Patricia stammered. "Mom never let her in the house," Lily said firmly. "Never. She always said no." Morrison handed the photos to Officer Davis, who was now standing beside Patricia. "I think we need to check that window. Davis, radio for a forensics tech. I want photos of the window frame and any evidence of forced entry." "Already on it," Davis said, speaking into his radio. Jennifer felt a surge of vindication but also fear. What if the window didn't show signs of forced entry? What if Patricia had somehow managed to open it without leaving marks? Her word against Patricia's, even with Lily's testimony, might not be enough. "Officer Morrison," Jennifer said, "I have security cameras. They were just installed last week. They cover the front of the house, the driveway, and the back door. If Patricia came through that window, it should be on camera." Morrison's face brightened. "Can we see that footage?" "Absolutely. Come inside." Jennifer led Morrison and another officer into the house while Davis stayed with Patricia. The alarm had finally been silenced, and the sudden quiet felt almost as jarring as the noise had been. Lily stayed close to her mom, Cooper glued to her side. Inside, Jennifer pulled up the security system on her laptop. She navigated to the camera that faced the side of the house where her bedroom window was located. The angle wasn't perfect, but it captured enough. She scrolled back to about 20 minutes before Lily had pressed the panic button and hit play. The footage showed the side yard, empty and peaceful. At timestamp 9:42 a.m., Patricia appeared, walking quickly from the backyard. She looked around, checking to see if anyone was watching, then pulled something from her purse. It looked like a small pry bar or wedge tool. "Pause there," Morrison said, leaning in. "Zoom in if you can." Jennifer zoomed in. The image was grainy but clear enough. Patricia was definitely holding some kind of tool. She pressed play again. Patricia approached the window and began working at it with the tool. It took her almost 3 minutes, but eventually the window shifted and opened. She hoisted herself up, struggled for a moment, then climbed through, disappearing inside the house. The timestamp showed 9:45 a.m. "There's your proof," Morrison said, his voice grim. That's breaking and entering. Can you email this footage to me? Of course. They went back outside where Davis had Patricia sitting on the curb. She was no longer trying to maintain her composed demeanor. Her hands were shaking and she looked pale. A forensics tech had arrived and was examining the window frame with a camera and measurement tools. After a few minutes, she called down to Morrison. Definite pry marks here. Fresh ones. Also found scratches on the sill consistent with someone climbing through. Morrison nodded and walked over to Patricia.
Ms. Hendricks, stand up, please. Patricia stood, her legs unsteady. Patricia Hendricks, you're under arrest for breaking and entering, criminal trespassing, and stalking.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. As Morrison read Patricia her rights, Jennifer watched with a mixture of relief and disbelief. This was really happening. Patricia, the woman who had made her life miserable for months, was being arrested in front of the entire neighborhood. Davis put handcuffs on Patricia, and she made one last attempt to protest. This is ridiculous. I'm an upstanding member of this community. I was trying to help. Ma'am, we have video evidence of you using a tool to force open a window and climb into someone's home without permission, Morrison said flatly. That's a crime. If you have anything else to say, I suggest you say it to your lawyer. As they led Patricia toward the police car, several neighbors called out. An older man named Frank from 3 houses down stepped forward. Officer, I'd like to file a complaint too. Morrison paused. What kind of complaint? That woman has been harassing everyone in this neighborhood for the past 2 years. Last month I caught her in my backyard taking measurements of my shed without permission. When I confronted her, she claimed it was HOA business, but she had no right to be on my property. A woman in her 30s stepped forward next. She's done the same thing to us. She let herself into our backyard through an unlocked gate and was photographing our pool equipment. My husband saw her on our security camera. Morrison looked at his partner, then at Patricia, who had gone completely silent, her face drained of color. We're going to need to take statements from everyone. Davis, call for backup. For the next hour, Jennifer watched as neighbors lined up to tell their stories. It turned out Patricia had been terrorizing the entire neighborhood, but most people had felt powerless to stop her. She wielded the HOA rules like weapons, and nobody had thought to fight back or involve the police. Jennifer gave her statement, showed all her documentation, and turned over copies of the security footage. Lily gave her statement too, describing everything she'd heard and seen. She was clear and detailed, and Morrison told Jennifer how impressed he was with Lily's quick thinking and composure. Your daughter potentially stopped something from escalating, he said. If Patricia had finished whatever she was doing and left before anyone noticed, she might have kept doing this to other people. After Patricia was driven away in the police car, the neighbors lingered. They approached Jennifer one by one, apologizing for not standing up to Patricia sooner, thanking her for finally taking action. Frank clapped Jennifer on the shoulder. You did what the rest of us were too scared to do. She's been a nightmare, but she always threatened us with fines and legal action if we complained. How did she get away with this for so long? Jennifer asked. The HOA board is mostly people she appointed, a woman named Rachel explained. They rubber stamp whatever she says. A few of us tried to vote her out last year, but she manipulated the election process. We didn't have enough support. Jennifer felt tired suddenly, the adrenaline crash hitting. The weekend after Patricia's arrest was strange for Jennifer and Lily. The house felt different, lighter somehow, even though nothing physical had changed. It was the absence of that constant surveillance, that feeling of being watched and judged, that made everything feel easier. On Sunday afternoon, there was a knock at the door. Jennifer checked the security camera before opening it and saw Frank, the neighbor who had spoken up at the scene. She opened the door. Hi, Jennifer. I hope I'm not bothering you, Frank said, looking apologetic. A few of us neighbors are getting together tonight to talk about the HOA situation. We think it's time for some big changes, and we'd really like you to be part of the conversation. Nothing formal, just pizza and talking on my back patio. Jennifer glanced back at Lily, who was reading on the couch with Cooper. Can I bring Lily? I don't want to leave her alone just yet. Of course. Rachel's kids will be there too. They can play in the backyard while we talk. That evening, Jennifer and Lily walked down to Frank's house. About 15 neighbors had gathered, and the atmosphere was surprisingly relaxed and friendly. Lily immediately hit it off with Rachel's daughter Mia, who was close to her age. and the kids ran off to play while the adults settled into chairs around Frank's patio table. Okay, so here's the situation, Frank began, passing around paper plates and pizza. Patricia is in jail, but that doesn't fix our HOA problem. She's still technically the president, and her appointed board members are still in charge. We need to call an emergency meeting and vote in a new board. Do we have the authority to do that? Asked a man named Tom. Rachel pulled out a copy of the HOA bylaws. Actually, yes. According to these rules, if 20% of homeowners sign a petition, we can call for an emergency election. There are 85 houses in Pine Valley. That means we need 17 signatures. I think we can get that easily, said another neighbor, a woman named Dee Dee. After what happened yesterday, people are ready for change. The conversation flowed from there. They discussed who should run for the new board, what changes needed to be made to prevent another Patricia situation, and how to make the HOA actually serve the community instead of terrorizing it. Jennifer mostly listened, still processing everything that had happened. But as the evening went on, she found herself drawn into the planning. These were good people who had been living under Patricia's thumb, and they were genuinely excited about the possibility of change. Jennifer, Frank said, we'd like you to consider running for a position on the new board. You stood up to Patricia when the rest of us were too scared. We need people with that kind of courage making decisions. Jennifer was caught off guard. I just moved here. I barely know anyone. That's actually an advantage, Rachel said. You don't have any history with the old regime, and you understand better than anyone how the HOA shouldn't function. We need fresh perspective, Jennifer thought about it. Part of her wanted to just stay out of it, keep her head down and enjoy a quiet life. But another part of her, the part that had refused to back down to Patricia, saw an opportunity to actually make a difference. Let me think about it, she said, but I'll definitely support the emergency election. By the end of the evening, they had a plan. Rachel would draft the petition. Frank would coordinate getting signatures. Tom would research HOA management best practices from other neighborhoods. And Dee Dee would compile all the documented evidence of Patricia's misconduct to present at the election meeting. As Jennifer and Lily walked home, Lily asked, Are you going to do it? Be on the board? I don't know yet. What do you think? Lily considered this seriously. I think you should. You're really good at standing up for what's right, and you made those people feel like they could fix things. That's pretty cool, Mom. Jennifer smiled and ruffled Lily's hair. When did you get so wise? The petition was ready by Monday afternoon. Rachel dropped it off at Jennifer's house with a stack of folders containing information about HOA law and previous violations Patricia had issued. Just in case you want to know what we're dealing with, she said. Jennifer spent Monday evening reading through it all while Lily did homework at the kitchen table. What she found was shocking. Patricia had issued over 300 violation notices in the past year alone. Many were for absurdly minor things. A garden hose left visible from the street, holiday decorations up one day past the allowed date, a single weed in a flower bed. The fines added up to tens of thousands of dollars across the neighborhood. But more disturbing were the handwritten notes in Patricia's personal files that someone had photographed. Rachel explained that one of the neighbors worked for the HOA management company and had copied Patricia's files before they could be destroyed. The notes showed Patricia specifically targeting certain families who had opposed her or questioned her authority. Jennifer's family was mentioned multiple times starting the week after Jennifer had refused to let Patricia into her backyard. Build case against Carter woman. Watch for any violations. Need to establish pattern of non-compliance to justify stronger action. The notes were dated and detailed. Patricia had been planning to escalate her harassment of Jennifer far beyond what had already happened. The break-in wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was part of a calculated plan. Jennifer felt sick reading it. She pulled out her phone and called Officer Morrison, who had given her his direct number. She told him about the notes. We need those, Morrison said immediately. That establishes premeditation. Can you get me copies? I'll have them to you first thing tomorrow. Morrison was quiet for a moment. Ms. Carter, I want you to know that the investigation has expanded significantly. We found evidence that Patricia was embezzling HOA funds. She was issuing fake violations to generate fine income, then skimming money off the top. We're talking about potentially $50,000 over the past 3 years. Jennifer's jaw dropped. She was stealing from us? It appears so. The district attorney is building a case. With the breaking and entering charge, the stalking, and now the embezzlement, she's looking at serious prison time. After hanging up, Jennifer sat back in her chair, overwhelmed. This was so much bigger than she'd realized. Patricia hadn't just been a petty tyrant. She'd been running a criminal operation. The next few days were a blur of activity. The petition gathered signatures quickly. By Wednesday, they had 43 homeowners signed on, more than double what they needed. An emergency HOA meeting was scheduled for the following Saturday. Jennifer also had to deal with Patricia's court proceedings. She attended the arraignment on Tuesday with several other neighbors. Patricia arrived in an orange jumpsuit, her hair no longer perfectly styled, her face drawn and tired. When the judge read the charges, she seemed to shrink into herself, breaking and entering. Criminal trespassing, stalking, embezzlement, fraud. Her lawyer requested bail, but the prosecutor argued that Patricia had shown a pattern of harassing behavior and was a flight risk. The judge agreed and remanded her to custody until trial. As Jennifer left the courthouse, she felt a strange mixture of vindication and sadness. Patricia had destroyed her own life through her obsession with control and power. It was hard not to feel at least a little bit sorry for her, even after everything she'd done. But those feelings evaporated when Jennifer got home and found another violation notice in her mailbox. It was dated before Patricia's arrest, but apparently, her appointed board members were still trying to carry on her legacy. The notice claimed Jennifer's grass was a quarter-inch too long and demanded a $50 fine. That was it. Jennifer was done playing defense. She called Rachel. "I'll do it." "I'll run for the board," Rachel whooped with joy. "That's fantastic. We already have 4 other good candidates. With you, we'd have enough to completely replace everyone." Saturday arrived, and the community room at the local recreation center was packed. Nearly every homeowner in Pine Valley Estates had shown up. The energy in the room was electric, a mixture of anger at Patricia and hope for change. The current board members sat at a table in front, looking uncomfortable. Betty, the administrative assistant Jennifer had spoken to on the phone, stood to call the meeting to order. "Before we begin," Betty said, "I want to make something clear. I work for the HOA management company, not for any individual board member. My loyalty is to this community and to proper procedure. What Patricia Hendricks did was not only illegal, but violated every principle of good HOA governance. I'm here to facilitate a fair election tonight." The room broke into applause. One of Patricia's board members, a nervous-looking man named Gerald, tried to speak. "Now let's not rush into anything. Yes, Patricia made some mistakes." "Mistakes?" Tom stood up, his face red. "She broke into someone's home. She stole money from all of us. Those aren't mistakes. Those are crimes." Gerald held up his hands. "I understand emotions are running high, but we need to follow proper procedures." "We are following proper procedures," Rachel said, standing. "We have a petition signed by more than 20% of homeowners calling for this emergency election. That's exactly what the bylaws require, unless you want to argue against your own rules." Gerald sat down, defeated. Betty took control of the meeting. "We have 5 positions up for election tonight: president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and member at..." 3 months had passed since Patricia's arrest, and Pine Valley Estates was a completely different place. The change wasn't just in the rules or the leadership. It was in the atmosphere, the way neighbors interacted, the feeling of community that had been missing for so long. Jennifer's first board meeting as vice president had been eye-opening. The financial audit revealed that Patricia had embezzled nearly $60,000 over 3 years. She'd created fake vendor accounts, approved inflated service contracts with companies that kicked money back to her, and directly pocketed fine payments that were supposed to go into the HOA general fund. "How did nobody catch this sooner?" Jennifer had asked. Frank had shaken his head in disgust. She was the only one with access to the accounts. She presented summary reports to the board, but nobody actually looked at the detailed transactions. We trusted her, and she exploited that trust completely. The new board had immediately implemented checks and balances. Now 2 people had to sign off on any expense over $500. Monthly financial statements were posted online for all homeowners to review, and they'd hired an independent accounting firm to manage the books. But the financial cleanup was just the beginning. The review of violation notices had been a massive undertaking. Out of 312 notices issued in the past year, the new board had found that 206 were either completely bogus or for such minor infractions that they shouldn't have warranted. Finds Jennifer personally, called every family that had been wrongfully fined. The conversations were sometimes emotional. One elderly woman broke down crying when Jennifer told her she'd be receiving a $1,500 refund for violations that were never actually violations at all. She made my life hell, the woman had said through tears. I'm on a fixed income. Those fines hurt us badly. I didn't know what to do. Those calls reinforced for Jennifer why this work mattered. Patricia hadn't just been annoying. She'd been causing real harm to real families. The bylaw revisions were approved at a community-wide vote. Term limits were established. No board member could serve more than 2 consecutive 2-year terms. Financial audits would be conducted annually by an independent firm, and any inspection of private property required both written homeowner consent and a legitimate compliance concern approved by a majority of the board. Lily had adjusted well to everything. She and Mia had become best friends, spending most afternoons after school together. Cooper had become the neighborhood's unofficial mascot, beloved by all the kids, and Lily had been invited to speak at a school assembly about safety and trusting your instincts. I was really scared, Lily had told the assembly, Jennifer watching proudly from the back. But my mom taught me what to do and I did it. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't ignore that feeling. Tell an adult you trust, and if you're in danger, get help right away. The local news had picked up on the story too. A reporter had done a feature on HOA abuse and used Patricia's case as a cautionary tale. The story went regional, then national. Jennifer had declined to be interviewed, wanting to protect Lily's privacy, but other neighbors had spoken on camera about their experiences. The attention had led to legislative interest. A state representative had contacted Frank about sponsoring a bill to create better oversight for HOA boards and protect homeowners from predatory practices. Frank had asked Jennifer to help draft recommendations based on their experience. On a sunny Saturday morning in late spring, Jennifer was in her garden planting tomatoes when Rachel walked over with a cardboard box. "Special delivery," Rachel said with a grin. Jennifer wiped her hands on her jeans and took the box. Inside was a plaque that read, Pine Valley Estates Community Hero Award. Presented to Jennifer Carter for courage, leadership, and making our neighborhood a home. May 2025. The board voted unanimously, Rachel explained. We're presenting these to you and Lily at the community barbecue next weekend. Dee Dee's making one for Lily, too. Jennifer felt tears prick her eyes. You guys didn't have to do this. We absolutely did. You changed everything, Jennifer. Before you stood up to Patricia, we were all just suffering in silence. You showed us we didn't have to accept things the way they were. After Rachel left, Jennifer sat on her porch swing with the plaque in her lap. 6 months ago, she'd been terrified of making the wrong choice and moving here. Now she couldn't imagine living anywhere else. The following week, Officer Morrison called with an update. Patricia's trial date had been set, though with her plea deal it would be mostly procedural. But Morrison had something else to tell her. We finished our full investigation, and it turns out Patricia was doing this in her previous neighborhood too. She was HOA president there before she moved to Pine Valley. We found similar patterns of harassment and financial irregularities. Those homeowners are now filing civil suits against her as well. Jennifer felt a chill. So this wasn't just about our neighborhood. This is who she is. Seems like it. Some people have a pathological need for control. When they get a little bit of power, they can't help but abuse it. The good news is she won't be in a position to hurt anyone else for a long time. That weekend's community barbecue was the biggest event Pine Valley Estates had ever held. Nearly every family attended. The weather was perfect, the food was abundant, and the mood was celebratory. Frank stood on a small platform and called for everyone's attention. I want to thank everyone for coming today. This is what community is supposed to feel like. People coming together, supporting each other, enjoying each other's company. For too long, we lost sight of that here. He gestured to Jennifer and Lily to come forward. Jennifer felt her face flush as everyone applauded. Lily looked nervous but excited. These two amazing people changed our neighborhood, Frank continued. When most of us were too scared to act, they stood up for what was right. Lily's quick thinking and bravery potentially prevented an even worse situation. And Jennifer's courage in pressing charges and pushing for change inspired all of us to demand better. He presented them each with their plaques. Lily's read, Pine Valley Estates Young Hero Award. presented to Lily Carter for bravery, quick thinking, and keeping our community safe. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers. Several kids ran up to high-five Lily, and Jennifer found herself surrounded by grateful neighbors offering hugs and thanks. After the formal presentation, the party continued. Kids played in the community pool, adults gathered in conversation groups, and the smell of grilled burgers filled the air. It felt like a real neighborhood, not just a collection of houses with a tyrant keeping everyone in line. Jennifer found herself talking with a new family that had just moved in. "We almost didn't buy here," the husband admitted. "The realtor warned us about HOA horror stories. But when we researched Pine Valley and read about everything that happened and how the community responded, we knew this was where we wanted to be. You've built something special here." Later that evening, as the sun set and string lights twinkled overhead, Jennifer sat with Lily on a picnic bench, watching kids play tag across the grass. "You know what's funny?" Lily said. "I barely even think about that scary day anymore. When I do, it's more like, we survived something hard and came out okay." Jennifer put her arm around her daughter. "That's a healthy way to look at it. We did survive, and we helped a lot of other people too. Do you think Patricia ever thinks about what she did? Like, really thinks about it?" It was a question Jennifer had pondered herself. "I hope so. I hope she uses her time in prison to figure out why she needed to control people so much. But honestly, honey, I've stopped spending much energy thinking about her. She took up enough of our mental space when she was terrorizing us. I'd rather focus on the good things now." Lily nodded. "Yeah, me too. Mia asked me to sleep over next Friday. Can I?" "Of course." The following month, the local newspaper ran a feature article on Pine Valley Estates titled, "From HOA Nightmare to Model Community." The article detailed Patricia's crimes, the community's response, and the reforms that had been implemented. Jennifer had finally agreed to a brief interview, wanting to help other communities facing similar situations. "The key lesson," she told the reporter, "is that you can't let fear keep you from doing what's right. Patricia counted on us being too scared or too tired to fight back. The moment we stopped being afraid and started working together, everything changed." The article included a photo of the new board standing in front of the Pine Valley Estates sign. They looked like a group of regular people, which is exactly what they were. No power-hungry tyrant, no corruption, just neighbors trying to make their community a better place. The article also mentioned that Jennifer had been approached about writing a book on HOA reform and homeowner rights. She was considering it, though balancing her day job, her board duties, and time with Lily made it challenging to think about taking on another project. As summer arrived, Pine Valley Estates was thriving. The community pool that Patricia had kept closed most of the time, citing budget concerns, was now open every day. The recreation center hosted movie nights, yoga classes, and kids' activities. The board had even started a community garden where families could rent plots to grow vegetables. Jennifer had planted a plot with Lily, and they spent many evenings together.